Hey everyone, welcome back to Alchemy with Zero Phase. This is Eric, and I know I've done a couple different videos on InPainting, but there are people who still have questions and are still struggling with getting, I don't know, getting the results they want, or it seems to be like pretty inconsistent in what it's doing. So we're going to go through a few different things here to see if we can't help clarify some of the processes, some of the settings that really help when you're trying to add subject matter to an image. As you can see with this image here, I've got a range of things that I've done to it. So the original image was just the glass sphere with a horse. It wasn't a unicorn, and Deadpool kind of walking up to the horse. So basically these two were the only original pieces to the image. Okay. Going through, first thing I added was the character over here standing on the table. The next character was adding the one riding a unicorn here. And then the next one were the miniature characters sitting and standing on the grassy hill. And then the last character, or the last thing I did was I extended out the image to give it a 16:9 aspect ratio, and then adding in the character here, which I didn't notice this before, but actually has part of an eye right there instead of just the white. So we're going to go through and do something similar. We may not use these characters, but I'm going to set up kind of a similar situation where we have possibly a glass sphere, because it offers a range of options of being able to add small, you can add large things outside the sphere, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing when it comes to the process that I use to do this. We're doing a few different things. Initially, I'm just generating the image using SDXL, taking it into InPainting, and I'm using the SDXL model. In fact, I'm using a turbo version of SDXL models to actually do the InPainting. And then after that, I'm going through and using an actual InPainting model, 1.5 InPainting model, to do a minor bit of refinement to blend it in and make sure it looks like it's actually in the image. Okay, you get the shadowing, you get rid of the seam that a lot of people see. So, but we're really going to try to address the difficulty people are having with getting the character actually there. Okay, we've got some techniques. I'm going to show you some hints and tricks that really help with this, and hopefully bring a little more clarity to this and give people a better workflow on making this stuff happen. All right. So let's go ahead and get going on this. We're just going to reset some things here. So just so you know, I am currently using the automatic 1111 Forge interface. I installed it yesterday. I'm kind of testing it out, and so I've got my most of my extensions in, and just going through and familiarizing myself with some of the changes. And there are a lot of things that have changed in it that I'm not familiar with, like how they work. So we're just going to be using the standard stuff, so we can ignore a lot of the new stuff. So until I can figure that out, maybe do a tutorial on Forge. So now that we've got the interface kind of reset, we're going to switch back over to the Turbo SDXL model I use, Turbo Vision XL Superfast. Okay, and get off the VAE for the InPainter. And first thing I want to do, again, we're just going to generate kind of something similar. So I want to come up with something that will give us the ability to do some intricate work along with some larger stuff. So we're going to do, again, one of those glass spheres. So the way I've got this set up is I actually have a style for it down here, full prompt glass globe diorama. This is in my styles.csv file. For those who are interested, you can go to share.zerophase.com and grab it from there. Okay. So let's put in just something simple, picturesque. We're going to do a log cabin in the forest. And then let's go ahead and switch this over to let's do 16 by 9. I think it'd be fine. So what I'm doing here, this is a config preset extension. This is, again, for me, this is huge. It really helps my workflow. Basically, I go through and I set all the settings that I want, and then come over here. You can add, remove, and it will allow you to save those settings. You title it and hit save, and then you can come over here and select that option. Okay, it is an extension. For those who are interested, it's let's see if I can find it here. Sometimes I have the option pre-painting on your normal place. Sometimes it's really hard to find stuff in here. I swear some of these have doubled up too. Config presets. Okay, it's just called config presets. Pretty sure it's in the extensions library. So if you go to available load from, you'll be able to find it. Okay. So we're just going to do a log cabin in the forest inside of a glass diorama. Okay, let's generate a couple of them, just get a few of them here, just to get one that will really work for us. Shouldn't take too long to do this. That one's pretty good. I like that one. We could add some stuff to that. That one's not too bad too. Ooh, okay. Got some good ones here. That one's not bad. I like that one. That one's perfect. Okay, I think that's the one we're going to use. So what we're going to do with this, I want this to be a little higher res. So we're going to do high res fix. And we are going to do refiner. This particular model, SDXL Turbo, does do the refinement. I'm going to leave that there. I think we can leave everything else the same because I've already got the config preset sets all these for me because I've used this before and saved it that way. So let's drop this down to 4. We're going to grab the seed. It's really interesting that clicking this when actually, you know what, it should work. Oh no, it didn't work. It's really weird. I don't know. There's certain ways when you generate things certain ways, it doesn't take the seed over when you do that, which it's supposed to do. So I'm just going to do it this way and then grab the description because we're not going to be generating 4 again. We just want that one. So we're going to try and duplicate that one using the settings. God, this is weird. I don't know if it's Fusion or excuse me, the Forge model or whatever. I mean, I didn't change anything else. I mean, other than just adding the refiner and high-res fix. And it's not supposed to change anything, but for some reason it has been doing that. But this is okay. This works too. So we got a slightly higher res image. Now, because we are going to be working with some really tiny stuff, we want to make this, I think, even higher res. So let's see what we can do with this first. So let's send it over to InPaint. Give it a second to pull it in. Okay. And we got our description as well. Should be okay, but we're actually not going to be keeping this. So from here on out, we are going to be putting in things that we want to see in specific areas. So first thing we want to do is when you're in here, you can hold down Alt and scroll and use your scroll wheel to scroll in. Okay, this is going to be important, and then you can use F to, oh, that didn't work. Let's see if we do that. Oh, that's interesting. Did they change it? No, F is still move canvas. There we go. It's weird when you have to select a certain area to get it to do what you want. Okay, erase those. Let's go back in here. Okay, so here we got a setting that is pretty. And again, because of how small it is, we may increase the res again, but let's see if we can add something in here. What I want to do, let's add a dog. Okay, let's add a dog sleeping on the grass, you know, like right here. Okay, we're just going to do that. Shrink this back down so we can go look at the other stuff. So up here, we're going to put in, I don't know, what's a good dog breed everybody likes? I don't know. Let's do German Shepherd. And that's apparently not how you spell it. Sleeping in the grass. Okay, so now we're going to dive into, I want to leave it on the Turbo SDXL because it just does a better job of generating the objects. 1.5 is good. Don't get me wrong. There's some good models out there. But when it comes to the consistency of the character and realism, that kind of thing, this just does a better job. We're also going to put in miniature. Okay. We're working at a very small level, but we may not need that. We'll see how it goes. Mask blur, because we're working at such a tiny scale here, I think we're going to leave it at 4. And then mask padding pixels, we're going to drop this way down. We're going to try 4. We're going to do only masked. Okay. Then down here, sampling steps, we're going to continue using we're going to increase this to 10 actually. And then change this over to Euler A on the sampling method. Change it to Euler A. Now, here's something new that's in the Stable Diffusion Forge is soft InPainting. And what it seems to be that what it does is it uses the original background and uses that to kind of help blend the new image a little bit better. I did use this in the image in the intro in various areas, and I think it does help. So we're going to just kind of leave it there. We'll enable it and leave all the settings the same. Okay. Down here, let me, we'll leave it. Okay. So one thing we want to make sure is that we're working at least initially at a 1x1. Here's a little tip. So in your image, because we're working in this area, not near an edge, okay, we should be good at a 1x1 ratio. And I'm going to show you this a little later. We'll try adding something on the edge of the image. Maybe somebody sitting in the back chair, something on the table. But if you're using a 1x1, the InPainter tends to center whatever it is you're trying to add into the InPaint area. And so if you're trying to add something way over here on the edge and you're masking that out, the InPaint area tends to be this square area, and so you get a lot of extra space over here. And so what it's doing is it's trying to create whatever it is you're specifying in the center of that square 1x1 area instead of the mask. And so you might get like part of it. This especially happens when you're doing it this method, where you're using a non-InPaint model to get the object into the scene. Okay. All right. So let's come back down here. We're going to set this to a 1x1. Drop this down to 1024 by 1024. Right there. We are going to do batches just because sometimes you don't get it on the first try. We're going to do 4. If we can get it. I know I can manually enter it in. Maybe I should. Config, we're going to drop that back down to 3. Leave the denoise strength at 0.75. We're going to set this to a random seed. The sampling steps, 10. Okay. Because we're working with the turbo model, you want the config scale and the sampling steps to be fairly low. It helps speed things up. Sampling steps, I wouldn't go below 8 with this particular model anyway. You start to get like little miscolorations and artifacts. Okay. All right. That's, I think, it. unless we want to upscale more, which right now we're not gonna. We're gonna try and do this as is. So we got the only mask padding pixels all the way down. So it's gonna really zoom in on this little area right here and treat it as if it was a full scale image and render whatever's in that mask area. Okay, let's go ahead and generate. Show you what I mean here. So we got that one there. Now it's going to, we may increase the mask area or even decrease the mask padding area, but we are getting something in there. Don't worry about the seam. That'll be something that we can get rid of later. A lot of this does tend to have something to do with like what you're describing in here. Because this is kind of a model, maybe we don't want it to look so realistic. Maybe we want figurine. And let's come down here to the settings. Mask blur, yeah, we're working with such a small area. I'm going to go all the way down to 2. And I think I do want to increase the mask area just a little bit, just to see if we can't. I don't want to go over the steps, because when you're using this method with the non-InPaint model, it will change those a bit. I think that's where the soft, soft, what is it called? Where'd it go? Soft InPainting comes in. It really helps kind of maintain the structure, but let's give that a try and see how that works now. We added figurine. We changed the mask blur a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. It's kind of big. Again, you see how it's cutting it off. That one's a little deformed. You know, I think we might need to add a negative prompt. Let's go ahead and add a negative prompt in here. This is in my style sheet again. But we're going to reduce the negative prompt strength here. Let's see if that works. Again, don't worry about necessarily that it doesn't look exactly right. You know, if you get down in here, that one doesn't look too bad. It kind of blended the back of the dog with the rock. So let's just see if we can get a little more solid looking animal. That one's got 2 heads, but it blended better over here. This could actually be fixed now that it's there with a regular InPaint model. That one's not bad. That one's okay. See what the last one looks like here. There we go. That's pretty good. I like that one. Okay. So we've got that added, and obviously it's super tiny. Okay. Let's go over, I think it's that one right there. And yeah, there's a dog right there. Now we could change that so that maybe the dog is not sleeping in the grass. Maybe we want him standing. Sitting. Sorry, not standing, sitting. And maybe we want it to be a little more miniature. So let's miniature German Shepherd puppy. There's lots of different words that you can use to change what it is you're doing in the image. Like that one's much better. See how it's kind of cutting it off? That one's not bad. It's floppy ears. Still a little too much. I might actually increase the padding pixels, but miniature tiny. And let's do this. Let's go up here. We're going to not mask blur. Change that to 8. Try it again. Okay. Let's get back in there here. Let's say There was 2 in that one. That one's pretty good. I like that one. Let's go in on that one a little bit. See, you got the dog right there. So you got to realize, again, this is still, when you're working at such a tiny scale, it's going to be pixelated, but we'll fix that after we upscale it again. Right now, it's just about getting the objects in there. Okay, so we got that in there. Let's send that over to InPaint. So that's one thing I tend to forget sometimes is I'll start working on a new mask, a new addition, and I'll be like, well, what happened? Why is that not there now? It's because I didn't send it over. So we're going to send that over. Get rid of that mask. Come in here and let's add. See how it's kind of blurry? That's just because of the fact that we're working at such a small scale. Let's add one more thing. Then we're going to add some bigger stuff around the globe. Okay. Let's add. That's really going to change a lot of stuff if we add a guy standing right there. Let's add. No, let's give it a try. Just going to do that. Zoom back down. Then we're going to come up here and we're going to type in miniature tiny man standing on front porch in front of door. Okay. Now, if you're not looking, one thing you got to realize with InPainting is you got to be okay with variance. I mean, if you're looking for something super specific, this may not be the way you want to do it. So that's why I'm doing 4 different, renders to work on getting the result that fits what I want. Okay. So let's go ahead and switch this back down to 1024 by 1024. We're going to leave all the rest of this the same because that seemed to work for the dog at that scale. So let's just try that. Oh, that's a little too small. See if it changes it up here a little bit. That's because we're using so many different words for tiny. Let me just get rid of this. Stop the render. Hit generate again. There we go. That's better. Door seems to be open. Let's see what the next one does. We may need to be a little more specific on the type of door. Like, that's not bad, but his feet are kind of hidden. It's cutting it off there. Yeah, it's cutting it off. Okay. On front porch in front of cabin door. So these are okay, but I'm thinking I might need to change the description a little bit so that we are, like, this one's not bad, but I don't like the fact that he's facing inward towards. I want him facing outward. And sorry, no, it's down in the bottom corner of the screen here. I just don't want to lose the arrow. So like that one's not bad. I think I could use that one, and we can finish up using an InPainting model to get what we want. Right now it's about just getting the object subject matter in there that we want to utilize. Okay. All right, so we got those. I like that one. Let's find that one again. Let's see. No. Was it that one? That one there. Okay. So let's send that one over to InPaint now. It's hard to tell, but it's there. So we got the guy there, we got the dog. Okay. Let's just leave it like that. You get the idea with it. Now let's add something else external. Okay, maybe we want, I don't know, what would be good? Let's add, over here, kind of like what we did in the title picture, somebody looking over the edge of the table. Okay, so we need to get that description in. We're going to do a little girl. We're going to do a cute little girl with head with curly brown hair peeking over the edge of a wooden table. Okay, because that's what we want. We're going to put that in there. So let's erase whatever mask is there, increase this mask size. And what you want to do is just run it right along the edge of the table. And think about the overall size that you want this little girl to be. Okay. And maybe her chin is sitting over there, but let's bring this up. I want her head to kind of come up over a little bit like that. Mask that all in. And again, we haven't moved over to an InPainting model yet. Okay. We're just going to try and get the subject matter in here, and I'll show you how to fix it using an InPainting model. If there's any seams, where now with this one, we are going to increase the mask blur up to 12 because we're working with a much bigger area. Only mask padding pixels, definitely going to increase that. We'll do 40 for right now. Soft InPainting. Yeah, we're going to keep that. I did run into some issues in my testing with this one working at a larger scale, but that might have been something else, like when I was upscaling stuff. So, and then we're going to drop this back down to 1024. And yeah, batch count we'll leave at 4. Okay, everything else stays the same. Let's just see what we get here. Yeah, the only mask padding, we may actually bring that down. Let's just see what it does. That's the one big one that really determines if you're going to get what you want in there, or if you're just going to get something weird looking, or nothing at all. A lot of people, that's the problem. They try to InPaint and end up getting nothing. It just kind of regenerates the background. Okay. The first one's good. That one's really good. I love that one. That one's not bad. I mean, size-wise, you're talking... I mean, I did not give it much here, you know, to work with. Size-wise, if I wanted to make it something so that its scale-wise is a little bit better, you can increase the amount of mask. But that first one's not bad. That one's not too bad. I mean, it's even blurring her a little bit because she's in the background. That one's not bad. You can see how it's trying to fill the entire mask area with what we're trying to do. That one's not bad. Scale wise, it fits a little bit better. So I want to make it a little bit bigger. I don't want to go over the actual globe, and the reason why is when you're not using an InPainting model, that's when you start messing stuff up. We're going to go all the way off the edge here. This will change the overall scale of the person there. Okay. May even add some extra objects in. Let's see how it does. That's kind of what I had actually originally envisioned. It looks like she's kind of blended into the table a little bit, but not bad. Not bad. Oh, there we go. Ah, that's what I wanted. Hand isn't even that messed up. That's pretty cute. But it kind of cuts off over here, so you're getting a little weirdness. Okay. The one I really liked was that one right there. Scale-wise, it looks better. Fits. She's kind of resting her chin on the table. Kind of like what I did with the title image. Works really well. Okay. So now that we have this, like that even blended it really well. Like I don't think I'm going to have to do anything with that. Okay. But what we are going to want to do is work on these objects in here, maybe even add some more. All right, like that just turned out great. I love that. I'm not even going to touch that. Again, if you're not using the Forge version of Stable Diffusion Automatic 11.11, you probably should move over to it. I really think this soft InPainting really helps, even when you're not using an InPainting model. So yeah. Absolutely awesome. I love it. All right, we're going to do one more addition to the table here. Let's add a, I don't know, a book. Why don't we add a book? All right. So again, remember to send it back over to InPainting, the one you want. Erase your mask. Let's add a book over here. It is a little interesting. It added some shadow there. And, you know, with the lighting, we're getting some weirdness because it's not... The lighting looks like it's coming in from the window, right? But you're not getting a shadow from her. And we're going to see if we can fix that with InPainting. And I'll show you how we're going to do that here. So, but in the meantime, let's add a book over here on the side. We're just going to mask out an area here. Change the description. We're going to keep the on a wooden table. We're going to say a book resting on a wooden table. And then just generate. I don't think we need to change many of the settings here for this. It is a smaller area than that, but let's see what it's able to do with it. Now this we are probably going to get a seam. Oh, not too bad. That's pretty good. Let's see if what kind of other books it'll do. That's more of a notepad than a book. Maybe we should specify like hardbound or something else. You are going to notice it's a lot sharper. Okay, you see how these are blurred off to the side. It is getting the angle right, which is nice. Yeah, this is something that Stable Diffusion does with books, is it gives them almost a double spine. It'd be interesting to see an actual book like that. I mean, it's not functional, but it would be interesting. I might change the description to be something a little more like closed book or stack of books. You know, I think maybe we're going to do this. We're going to do, you know, they do this with people a lot. We're going to do one book, closed, resting on a wooden table. We'll render this. We won't watch this one. I'll pause it, but just to speed things up a little bit here. So that first one, not bad, okay? But we're gonna generate using this new description. Okay, I'm still not getting the result I want. We keep getting these and Stable Diffusion does have an issue. If you're trying to do one book, you get these multiple spine books. It's just really bizarre. So what we're going to do, I'm going to change it so it says hardcover closed, but I'm going to give it some more padding here to see if we can't get something a little more stable. Also, instead of one book, let's do small stack of books. See if we can't get something that fits the scene a little bit better. I may have to change the mask. Like, that's better. That's more like what I was thinking in my head. In fact, that's blending it beautifully too. See what the next one looks like. It's not a stack, obviously, but it does look nice. I like it. Just what I'm looking for is to add to the aesthetic of the image, you know, so it doesn't look so empty. Okay, there we go. That's more like what I was thinking. I should have brought the mask up a little higher. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to interrupt that. We're going to actually bring this and square it a little bit, so it has a little more room to work with. And hit generate. Okay, so I got one that I think I can work with. I still, like, I masked all the way up here, but I don't like how, I think the AI thinks it's going to be following that edge, because it seems to do that pretty consistently throughout some of these images. It just kind of follows that edge for that top edge. So we're going to stick with this one right here. I think that's something we can work with. It adds to the aesthetic. So I've shown you how to add small stuff, you know, bigger stuff, medium stuff to an image. Now what we're going to do is go through and fix some of the things that are wrong. Like you can see, this has a pretty definable seam here. The table doesn't match this right here. Okay, this is totally fixable. What we've done is we've created the objects within the scene. Now the InPainting model has a much easier time working with that instead of trying to create new stuff. You worked with a model that just gives you better objects. Now we can go through and actually make those objects blend in a little bit better and get rid of these seams. So what we're going to do is send that over to InPaint, get those books in there, get rid of that mask. These objects in here we're going to work on in just a minute. We're going to fix these first, okay? We're going to see if we can get a shadow going in here of her, or even possibly a reflection of her face in there. And then we're going to upscale once, and then we'll go in here and detail these a little bit more. All right? So first things first, we're going to just create a mask over this. Make sure you include the seam. We're going to go all the way around. We're going to come up here and change the model now to an InPainting model. I like using where did it go here? The RPG Artist Tool V4 InPainting. It does not have the VAE baked in, so you'd want to select the VAE. This is fine. It's the standard VAE I think most of these models use. We're going to leave the description the same. Now, big thing with this is mask blur doesn't need to be as high. I'm going to set it to 8. We're working with an InPainting model, and it works much better. Now let me take that back. Because this image is a slightly higher res than the standard generated image, we are going to want it up a little high. And we're not working with a super small area, so it should blend those in nicely. Now, I am going to shut off soft InPainting. This does not work well with the InPainting models. Okay. Now we are going to change the sampling steps. This is a standard 1.5 model. It's not a turbo. We're going to go up to 30 steps, and same. And then we're going to switch this back down to. I think we're okay doing a 1024 by 1024. I know it's a 1.5 model, but we're going to be decreasing the denoise strength a little bit, so it'll maintain the structure. And the config scale needs to be brought back up to 7. Again, we're working with a standard 1.5 model. Bring this down to about a 0.5 to 0.55, I think. We're going to do 0.5. That allows it to change the image enough that it'll get rid of our artifacts while maintaining the structure of the content. All right. I think that's it. We're leaving everything else the same. Just double checking everything here. The only mask padding, we're going to leave that the same, just kind of see what it does. So let's hit generate. Okay, so it went through this, and you can see it's kind of blending this in here. It's fixing the seam. Didn't quite fix this in this image here. We'll scroll through these. That one there it did a really good job with. Okay, we got a stack of books. You know, they're not the best books in the world, but it got rid of the seam, blended everything else. We get that line a little bit better. You can see the edge of this table kind of curves in a little bit, but that's barely noticeable. This one looks fine. And the table blends and looks normal. Okay. This is a great technique to do for a lot of different objects. Books, again, I think Stable Diffusion just has an issue with books. Okay, let's see if we can add in some consistency details with the little girl over here. So let's, again, send that over to InPainting. Remember to come down and change your height and width to 1 by 1, 1024 by 1024 should be fine, even with this. Leave all the other settings the same. We're going to leave batch count at 4, but we're going to change the mask now. And what we're going to do, we've got to give the AI context, okay? So we're going to go back here and type in the details again. So I added into this description a window in the background because there is a window. The AI understands that if there's a window, there may be light coming through, but we're also going to InPaint this whole thing here. We're going to go up here. We're going to InPaint this as well. Come down here. We want to give the AI plenty of context with this so that it can modify the scene properly. We're going to leave everything else the same, I think. And go ahead and hit generate. Okay, because we are using a different model, 1.5 model, the character is going to be a little different. Now, it gave us fairly similar posing and everything. One thing you will notice, though, is it does shift the reflection in the table, the diffusion of the light, and a little bit of the shadow. It's not as much as I was hoping for. Like, that was not bad. But the other thing is I don't like how it's changing the character. I really like the original character. Just because it's from an SDXL model. I think it just does a better job, at least that version. So what we're going to do, we're going to try something. We're going to just mask out this here. Just give it a little bit of context of the girl. Bring in the window on the top. Okay. Bring in this down here. And leave the rest of that the same. We're going to, the mask blur's fine. Padding, yeah, I think that's fine. We're going to leave everything else the same. Generate. Okay. That definitely worked out better. We are getting a bit of a reflection of her face in the table. Table's blended nicely. It didn't leave any kind of a seam. Okay. We maintain the consistency of the character. Change the fingers a little bit because I did mask that out. I'm gonna go through these. Some of these just looked a little odd. I think this one here was the best one, and it gets the reflection right. It looks more natural. Looks a lot more natural. Perfect. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna upscale this. So I'm gonna show you a quick the upscaling technique that I use. And I've explained this in other videos, so we're just going to go through this fairly fast. What we did is we're sending that image that we have over to image to image using the image to image button right here. We're going to leave it on we're going to leave it on the InPainting model. I think it's fine. It'll do okay. But we're going to add to the description here glass sphere, cabin, books, wood. Oh, we already got wooden table in there. It's just adding the words in, so that the AI understands there's these objects in there. Come down here. We are going to switch this. Actually, leave all this the same. We aren't going to touch any of this here. The res that's here is what we want. We're going to turn the batch count down to 1. Denoise strength we're going to bring all the way down to, I think, 0.25. We wanted to add some detail as we upscale this, but not change anything too much, or at least very little. Okay, we're just adding the micro details as it upscales. We're going to come down to control net. Down. Where to go here? Control net integrated. They do name things a little different, so we're going to enable that. Come down here and select tile. Pixel perfect. I don't know if this actually needs to be selected or not. I typically do. Okay. It automatically assigns the tile resample. Normally there would be a bar here for downsample. I'm not sure exactly why that doesn't come up. Let's see. Tile, color fix, Gaussian, resample. We're resampling, so that's the one we want to select. So we're just going to leave it like that because it worked for me before. So now we come down and make sure we select the Ultimate SD Upscale. This is an extension you'll need to install. Okay, pretty common. Most people have it. We're going to select 4x Ultra Sharp. Some of these are doubled up. Not entirely sure why. Because I installed Forge, I did do a symlink in my directories pointing to my original Stable Diffusion models folder. So I don't know if there's something going on there, but it works. So, and the other thing we want to select after doing the Ultimate SD Upscale is the scale from image size. So target size type, scale from image size. and we're just going to double. We're going to increase it by 2 times. That's all. The only changes you need to make here. Make sure your soft InPainting is unselected. Okay, this does not work here. You end up getting some weird artifacting. And that's it. Denoise strength, again, at 0.25, I think should work fine. So let's come up here, hit generate, and it'll break out the tiles and it'll start generating each tile, regenerating each tile, adding detail and increasing the overall size of the image. It takes a second for it to spool up. We'll come back when it's done. Okay, so I finished the upscale. There are some things that did change. Because we're working with some small stuff, I did actually stop it because it was adding smaller images of like a girl's face and various things, even at the 0.25. And I forgot that because I had already upscaled it using high-res fix originally, you want to make sure that you're working at a smaller denoise strength with these higher res images. Okay, so because as it tiles it and starts upscaling it, it has less context to work with in each tile on these higher res images. When you're just working with a standard image, say 1024 by whatever, the tiles are bigger, and so it has more context to work with. So when it has these smaller tiles, it's just a blurry image, and so it's just kind of change whatever. But if you lower the denoise strength down to about 0.2, you get a lot less of that or very little of it. Now, a couple things. We lost the dog, and we lost the guy at the door, but it looks like it added a guy there. So we're going to go in and change that. So let me just hit this so you can kind of see the upscale factor on this. I didn't specify dog, I didn't specify man, so we're getting like a couple little girls in here. But here's the thing. The objects are still there, which is good. We can get rid of this one right here. But the guy will have to reintroduce. And we're going to do that using the InPainting model. So we're going to send this over to InPainting. This is, again, just fixing the image after the fact. All right, let's jump in here. We're going to go ahead and do that. Come down here. Mask blur, we're going to change down to I think 4 because it is a much higher res image. Let's do 6. Change the only mask padding down to 20. We'll try that. Keep the sampling the same. We're going to keep the denoise strength. Actually, denoise strength we need to bring up. We'll bring it back up to 0.75. Should be fine. This is going to be a 1-to-1, so we want to switch this back down to let's do 7. Because we're doing such a high res, we're going to do something a little more standard for this model, 768 by 768. It's a 1.5 model. This one works well up to 768. And leave everything else the same. Shrink that down a little bit. And generate. Although I should have added a couple more generations on it, but let's see what it does here. Should zoom way in on that. Oh, you know what? Forgot background or description. So cute, tiny German Shepherd puppy sitting in grass. Grabbing up pretty heavily. Oh, yeah. So once you're done with ControlNet, disable it. Disable the ultimate SD upscaler. Now we got to give it a second here. Yeah, okay. Interrupt. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I had to wait for it to finish up because it was tiling such a huge image. Yeah, so got to make sure that you've disabled those other options because we're not using those right now. And we'll go ahead and generate on this now. Should start a little quicker and much better. All right, that's beautiful. Send that over to InPainting. Like, that was a one-shot. I love it when it's a one-shot. It gives me exactly what I was looking for. Actually, originally, that's kind of what I was thinking. Looks so much nicer. We could actually redo this entire thing. the 1.5 model will handle a cabin just fine. It just, the SDXL models are good for other specific things. So we might actually do that here. We've got rid of that mask. Actually, let's make sure we got rid of it. Come back in here, and what we're going to do is mask this entire thing. I think at this point I'm just kind of having fun, but and what we're going to do again is come down here. We're going to change the description. Rustic cabin in the forest, internal lighting, let's see, front porch, man, let's say old man standing on porch, and by front door. Now, I want to kind of maintain the same structure. So you got to remember on the denoise strength to bring that down. Okay, we wanted to change it a bit. So maybe just a 0.55. All right. And let's get a batch count on this. Let's do 4 again just to see where we're at. Change. Now that when you transfer that image back over to InPainting, you got to make sure you switch this back down to something that the AI can work with. So do that and hit generate. Okay, so these are the renders we got. Now, cabin looks better in some of these, a little messed up in others. We didn't get the man on the front porch. Not sure why. That one looks pretty good. I don't mind that one. It's a little squirrely up here, but overall it looks okay. And we can put a man standing in the front porch there. Got rid of the person over here, which is good. See, got 2 chimneys. That's okay. The rest of these just kind of look a little more mangled than the others, than this one here. This one looks pretty good. I like it. So let's send that one over to InPainting. Get rid of the mask. Let's zoom in. Shrink this down a little bit. Let's put this right here. Come up here and we'll change this to be old man standing on front porch of cabin looking out towards camera. With everything else here, I think we can leave everything else the same. We are going to want this to be up a little higher to get that change in there. Only mask padding is low enough. I think it'll get the guy in there. Let's go ahead and generate that. So for those who caught that, yes, I forgot to change the res down, so it took a second to get that back in. Modified it, and now we're getting awesome results. So let's see what they look like. We're working with such a small thing here. I mean, this is fun being able to add these intricate details in, but you got to work with a higher res image to make it work. So let's go ahead and jump in here. Let's go all the way down. Oops, too far down. So that's not bad. There is a bit of a weird size difference between this guy and the dog, but the InPainter knows the scale. See how he kind of fits the door. Let's go to the next one. That one's not bad. He's kind of coming through the door. Again, not bad. I like that one. And the reason why is because, I don't know, most cabins this size don't have double doors. This looks more like a window now in this one, which is good. And the door's right here. He's kind of standing by the railing. I like it. So that's the one we're going to keep. So there you go. So this is a 4000. It's a 4K image. All right. And in order to be able to get those small details, you got to work at a higher res. So you can see there's some artifacting here from the upscaling, which can be mitigated. You can go through and InPaint those out if you want. But overall, that image turned out really well. I love the little girl leaning on the table. We got the detail and the little cabin here. There's a lot of things you can do. This technique can be used on everything in this little image. Like if you want to actually like make this look like, say, a pile of wood, or maybe a small shack, or a dog house for the dog, just InPaint it. Just mask it out. And remember that the big thing that really helps with this is the only masked padding pixels. This really determines how much the AI is going to be able to focus on such a small area. When you have a lot of padding pixels, it's not going to be able to focus on that one little tiny area because it's taking in a lot of context around that masked area. Almost like you're increasing the size, the overall size of that 1x1 area. And so if you want to add details in, reduce the amount of surrounding context. That's kind of how you could look at this. So the AI has no choice but to really follow your prompt a lot closer. Okay. I know this has been a pretty long video. Let's do one last InPainting. Let's send this one over. I like that one. Let's go ahead and make sure we change the resolution back down to 768 by 768. Let's come up here, erase that mask. Let's zoom in again. Let's grab and move it over here. Yeah, let's change this over to like a cute doghouse. Cute. I'm not going to use the word cute. We're going to say rustic. Log dog house in the bushes. Again, we're not doing anything that this model couldn't do easily. Using the SDXL model really is about getting those results you want up front with the styles you want. I mean, you could just use the 1.5 model the whole way. This technique works for all of them. So we're going to do that. We've got the masked area way down in there, tiny. We don't have any other weird options selected, so let's go ahead and hit generate. All right, I know it's kind of hard to see. Let's get in there. So that one turned out good. I think the size fits, perspective-wise. These other ones turned out a little weird. They're a little more, like I would change the padding pixels to give it to increase the size, but I think that first one worked really well. I like it. It's cabin style. The puppy would fit inside of it. Yeah, that worked really good. Blends in fairly nice with the rest of the surroundings. I think it's a little sharper than the rest. We can actually do. This is where the padding pixels come. So if you increase this, let's bring it up to 40. Do it again. We're going to get a different result. See if it even gets it in there. It does. And it has a little more context, so it's going to try to maintain the same kind of styling a little bit as the rest of the surrounding stuff. We are saying, rustic log dog house, so it's kind of making it look like a house, but like a dog house. Very rustic looking. That one's kind of cool. There you go. That one works. I like that one. Fits the landscape really well. Awesome. I really hope this helped some people out a little bit more with InPainting. It really just comes down to, the mask blur does help, but you could probably leave it like 6 or 8 on most of your stuff. Just use an InPainting model after you've generated your original image. And depending on how small you want to go, you've got to make sure you upscale it. Okay, but the big one is the only mask padding pixels. That's going to be what really determines if it's going to choose to put something in there or not. Okay, and only mask. Make sure you're on only mask, because if you do a whole picture, it just isn't going to do it. I mean, you could have the padding pixel only works when you're using only masked, and if you do whole picture, I'm not going to do it on this one just because it's such a high-res image. Again, that's one of the reasons you want to be using only masked when you're adding subject matter into an image. Okay. I hope you had fun. Definitely like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this, share it with other people. Definitely trying to grow this channel, and I'll leave some links in the description for like my shop and some other things that may be pertinent to this video, like the link to the share Google Drive I have for my style sheet for those who may be interested in getting a hold of all my styles here, all these different kind of pre-made prompts and various other aspects. Okay, talk to you later.